Even if you don't consider yourself much of a cook, you've probably cooked pancakes. After all, it's pretty much a no-brainer to combine wet and dry ingredients, mix it into a batter, and then sizzle up those golden, puffy discs of morning glory. But crepes? Well, those are fancy and French, which must mean they are almost impossible to cook at home, right? Hardly. If you can make pancakes, you can make crepes. All it takes are the right tools, timing, and technique. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make homemade crepes, and at the end of the video we're even going to test this thing to see if this still works. Hello and welcome to I Want to Cook. My name is Chef Matt and this channel is all about helping you be a better cook, and by the end of this video, well, you're going to be a crepe master even if you've never cooked crepes before. Now, in the off chance that you've never had a crepe and you're wondering, well, what is it? Well, a crepe is basically like a very thin pancake. Now, like a pancake, a crepe is usually round in its shape, but because it is so thin, you can do different things with it. You can roll it up, you can fold it up, and well, you can even stack them to make a big pile of crepes. Now, as with pancakes, crepes are made from a batter, a mixture of wet and dry ingredients. In fact, a lot of the same ingredients you would use for pancake batter, but one of the big differences is there's no leavening agent. There's no baking powder or baking soda, which means that, well, they don't rise. They are nice and flat. Now, while we usually think of pancakes as breakfast items because they're sweet, another difference with crepes is that they can either be sweet or savory, just depending on what you put in the batter. If you put more sugar in the batter, they'll obviously be sweet, and then if you leave it out, they can be savory. And again, you could use them for a multitude of uses. If you make a savory crepe, for example, you can fill it with chicken or spinach or vegetables or whatever you want, and it can almost be like, dare I say, a French burrito. Now, as for the batter itself, it is a flour-based one, and like pancakes, it is traditionally made from a wheat flour, but you can also use, if you're gluten-free, you can use a gluten-free flour, or you can even use something like buckwheat flour, which is gluten-free, and when you make those, in French they are called galettes. And another thing about the batter is, well, it is super easy and super fast to make. In fact, the best way I find to do it is in a blender. And you can actually make the batter a day ahead. It actually helps to let this batter rest a little bit before making the crepes. So you'll want to let the batter kind of, gel, get along together for at least an hour before you start cooking the crepes, or the day before. You can just make the batter and then refrigerate it until you're ready to make the crepes the next day. And here's how I make my batter. I like to use the recipe from The Joy of Cooking. I think it's really good and really simple, and it just involves putting into a blender 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of whole milk, a ½ cup of lukewarm water, 4 large eggs, about 4 tablespoons of butter, and then depending if you want savory or sweet crepes, some salt and or sugar. Then all you have to do is blend it until it is really well incorporated, and then just pour it into a bowl until you are ready to make those crepes. Now, as for the pan, like making pancakes, a non-stick pan really helps here. So you can use something like this. This is just a non-stick skillet from All Clad that I purchased, and it works pretty well with this. This is something you might use to make eggs or whatever. But if you are a really dedicated crepe aficionado, you're going to want a dedicated crepe pan. And here's what I'm talking about. I bought this one. This is Nordic ware, and now they're not paying me to say this or anything because I did buy this pan, but I've had really good luck making crepes with this pan. It wasn't too expensive. I think it was about $40. But as you can see, unlike that other skillet, the lip here, well, it's really not that high. It's nice and shallow, and that's going to help when you flip the crepes. And speaking of, you're going to want one of these, a big ol' spatula that is going to help you make those crepes. Okay, that is the background on crepes. Now let's start churning these things out. I'll show you all the technique involved in how to make perfect crepes. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is put our pan over about medium-high heat. We're going to heat this up, and then we are going to put a nice pat of butter right into this pan. I've noticed this pan heats up really, really fast. And speaking of fast, crepes do not take long at all to make. Now, we've let our batter rest. This is important. You want to stir it up a bit. So we're going to stir this up. And I found, just as with pancakes, usually the first few crepes aren't that great, at least great looking, but trust me, they'll still be delicious. So here's how to make it happen. We've got our butter melted. We're going to pour about 3 to 4 tablespoons of this batter right into this pan. Now we are going to just kind of swirl this so it coats the bottom of the pan. And we're going to let this cook. Now, depending on your pan, the heat, etc., this is only going to take maybe a minute, maybe a little bit longer, or, well, if it's really ripping hot, about 30 seconds. But basically, you just want the bottom of this crepe to get a little bit brown, and then we will just flip it. So that's all you need to do, and you can see this batter is so light that, well, it's already, you can tell the top is already getting nice and cooked here. So just like this. And another way you can tell when it's ready to flip or about ready to flip is just kind of do this. You can see that this crepe is moving easily. It's sliding around the pan, and that's going to let us know that it is ready to flip. Okay, so let's see how our first one did. And again, if you haven't done this before, it takes a little bit of practice, but you're going to get it in no time. So we've got our big old spatula here, and what we're going to do is just kind of slide our spatula under the crepe and then just flip it. And do you see this? Do you see how beautiful this crepe is? Just nice and kind of golden brown on the bottom. This is exactly what you want. Now from here, it doesn't take long at all. Maybe 10 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. That's all you really need to cook that underside. We're gonna put this guy right here on an awaiting plate. And guess what? It is just rinse and repeat. This batter is gonna make quite a few of these crepes. So we are just gonna continue to do this, and we are gonna keep the crepe train rolling. Now, about every, let's say, 4 or 5 crepes, I do re-butter the pan to make sure it's nice and not sticky, and that's all you need to do. So this will come with practice. You know, if the first few ones aren't that great, don't worry about it. Trust me, just keep practicing. Just get those crepes going, and they are going to be absolutely delicious. And just like that, we have a stack of crepes. Now, crepes come together even faster than pancakes because, well, they are so much thinner. So once you have these, well, again, you can do anything with them. But one of the traditional ways of using a crepe is to just kind of roll this up. Now, again, you could fill this. You could put something sweet or savory inside. But, you know, you can just roll these up, and, you know, you can even do something as simple as, let's say, some syrup and some powdered sugar. But look at this. We've got these beautiful little crepes here. And again, you can also fold them up. You know, you could take your crepe and fold it into like a little triangle shape like this. They are so versatile. Now, if you watch me regularly, you know that I am gluten-free, but it's more of a gluten sensitivity, so I'm gonna take the hit for this one and just try a bite. So light, so fluffy, so delicious. So that's how quick and easy it is to make crepes, especially if you have a crepe pan. But wait, you might be thinking, hey, Chef Matt, what if, say, I'm like you and I'm a thrift store junkie and I just happen to, I don't know, find a vintage Nordic ware crepe maker, electric, in the box at the thrift store for, this was $5.99. So this thing is pretty interesting because apparently the way it works is you actually get the batter ready and then you dip it upside down and make crepes. Does it work? Let's find out. And while I wait for this thing to heat up, apparently the red light will come on when it is heated. Yes, this was the correct answer to last week's trivia quiz. It is indeed an electric crepe maker, and all of these fine folks got the answer correct. Congratulations. Okay, I plugged it in and this red light is on, meaning that it is ready to go. There's no off or on switch for this thing, you just plug it in. Okay, so apparently what we do here, let's try this out. Apparently we dip this upside down, take it out, and apparently just let this cook. It's a very interesting concept because, you know, there's no real like flipping of it or anything. You just let it cook, and then apparently it comes right off the plate, right off this hot, well, I guess inverted skillet here. So let's see if this actually works. It heats up really fast and you can tell that this thing is cooking. I can tell this looks even lighter than those crepes we made in the pan. I mean, this is just, if you can see this, this is just paper thin. So apparently you just kind of let this cook, and let's see if we can coax this off here. Apparently you don't cook the other side, you just, wow, well, there you go. We have a very, very light crepe. Let's make another one. That is so cool. An inverted electric crepe maker. Again, this is a vintage Nordic ware that I got at the thrift store, made in America. I have no idea how old this thing is. I don't know, 1970s, 1980s. If you recognize this thing, let me know. What a hoot. Okay, the verdict is that that thing still does definitely work, and I mean, look at how thin these are. I mean, this is just, it's like a whisper. It's like just so light and fluffy. Let's give one a taste here. Yeah, really, really good. Again, even lighter than the pan-made versions. Wow, very cool. Okay, so that is how to make crepes, whether you're doing it the traditional way in a pan or this really interesting device, this old vintage crepe maker. That's how you do it. I hope you enjoy these. Give these a try. What is your favorite way to enjoy a crepe? Put that in the comments below. Okay, trivia time, and it is back to the produce aisle. I think these are in season and they're so good. I'll give you a hint. They're not kumquats, but they sure do look like them. Look at these little tiny things. If you know what these little brightly colored orbs are, or you have a guess, put it in the comments below. I will, of course, let you know the correct answer next week. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, I hope you want to cook. Okay guys, I know what you're probably thinking. Hey, why even use a spatula? A real crepe maker just does the flip. The hand is still a little bit injured, so that's my excuse. So let's see if we can flip it like a real crepe maker. Almost. He's enjoying it.